September, Long Beach Collectibles Expo again played host to Heritage's US Signature Coins auction, and this time a highlight of the auction was part 2 of the sale of the Polis family collection. Over $18 million was realized at the auction, including 2 coins which sold for very nearly $500,000 each. Stick around till the end of the video to find out which ones. So, let's start by discussing one of the most talked about coins in the last several years, the 1982 D small date copper penny. This is a coin that collectors have speculated might exist ever since it was originally minted in 1982, but it took 35 years for the discovery coin to be found by a Minnesota collector, who found it by diligently searching through 5,000 coin bags that he obtained from a local bank. The coin is a cousin to the 1943 bronze cent, in that it was inadvertently struck on the wrong planchet, as the mint was busy transitioning over to the copper-coated zinc coins that we still use to this day. The 1982 Denver Mint small date penny was the only one that was only meant to be struck from the newer composition. This is only the second time that the discovery coin has appeared at auction, and in the interceding 3 years another coin was found, bringing the total known population up to a grand total of 2 coins. With a grade of AU58 from NGC, this coin obtained $8,400 at auction. Another interesting piece that appeared at the auction was a Scott Restrike of the Confederate half-dollar. The original Confederate half-dollar coins were struck at the New Orleans Mint in 1861 during the Civil War. These coins, however, were struck by J.W. Scott in 1879 after he acquired the original dies for the Confederate coins. Only 500 were made by lapping the reverse of a regular federal issue 1861 half-dollar and then overstriking them with the Confederate dies in order to produce these restrikes. Graded as AU58 by NGC, the coin was sold for $6,300. The year was 1942. The world was embroiled in the Second World War, and copper was a desperately needed war commodity, used to produce motor windings, radio circuitry, and shell casings, amongst other equipment desperately needed by the military. So, in order to save copper, the US Mint decided to experiment with various materials to replace the copper penny. They eventually settled on the zinc-coated steel, as with the 1943 penny. But along the way, these glass pennies were also considered. Produced from an experimental amber glass by the Blue Ridge Glass Corporation in Tennessee, only a handful of these are known to still exist today. This one was broken, apparently as a part of a stress test, but certified as authentic by PCGS and obtained $14,400 on its turn on the auction block. From there, we take a look at a piece that is technically a token rather than a coin in the strictest sense, although there is some anecdotal evidence that suggests that this, or a variation of these, did circulate at one time. The "Am I Not a Man and a Brother Hard Times" token was used in the anti-slavery movement, struck from pure copper to the approximate dimensions of the large cent. The token is based off of a similar piece that was struck in Great Britain around the 1780s and 1790s by the Society Affecting the Abolition of the Slave Trade, depicting a kneeling woman with the inscription, "Am I not a woman and a sister?" The American version, struck in or after 1838, depicting a man instead, is considerably scarcer, with only 4 coins known today. NGC gave this piece a details grade of fine, and it raised $19,200. The next piece is not a coin either, but rather a medal, but I simply just had to include it as it is one of my personal favorite pieces. I speak of the Libertas Americana medal, not only designed by, but also largely willed into existence by the efforts of Benjamin Franklin. It is an absolutely iconic piece of Americana, one of the original pieces struck at the Paris Mint in 1781. This rare silver medal depicts the newly independent nation as the infant Hercules, strangling two serpents with his bare hands, while Minerva is standing over him and fending off a rampant lioness. The obverse depicts liberty with the date 4th of July, 1776. Franklin conceived the idea for this medal following the Battle of Yorktown. This specimen was graded as AU 50 by PCGS and sold at auction for $78,000. When the US Mint was established in 1792, there was a flurry of activity as the nation was establishing its own currency, from private minters seeking minting contracts from the government, or even individual engravers and machinists and the like seeking employment with the new agency. This also led to some very spectacular patterns being created. Amongst these are the Getz patterns, so named after Peter Getz of Pennsylvania, who created a number of coins, including these copper cent pieces. This absolutely beautiful plain edge example with the small eagle reverse design was graded by NGC as MS62 Brown and raised $114,000 when it was auctioned off. Another interesting coin is the 1853 O, no arrows and no rays $1/2 coin. No accurate minting figure for this coin is unfortunately known today, as original mint records did not distinguish between the varieties of these coins produced in the same year. However, even the most forgiving of estimates place it no higher than 4,000 coins. You see, with the California gold rush in full swing, the price of silver increased significantly as well, to the point where the $1/2 coins were literally worth more in the melting pot than at the bank counter. So, in order to combat the mass melting down of these coins, and of course to make it more economically viable for the mint to produce them as well, the silver content was lowered in 1853 from 13.36 grams to 12.4 grams instead. In order to differentiate these newer, lighter coins, arrows were added to the date and glory rays were added behind the eagle. But this change was only affected after a small number of older, heavier coins were already struck, hence this variety. Today, only 4 of these coins are still known to exist, with the current specimen only having been discovered in 2012, rated by PCGS as VG8, making it actually the second finest known coin. This coin, however, sold for $144,000 at auction. If the 1817 over 4 overdate $1/2 didn't already have an interesting enough story to begin with, then this specific sample, which is only the 11th such coin known to exist today, accepts that challenge and raises the bar another notch. As the story goes, a construction worker from upstate New York was raking fill in preparation to lay foundation, when suddenly he heard a sharp cling. Upon investigating, he discovered the current specimen. His 14-year-old son, who was himself a coin collector, was able to identify the coin later that night. I mean, you can just imagine the scenario playing out. All 1817 over 4 $1/2 were struck from a single obverse die, which apparently broke very quickly after striking only a small amount of coins. Hence the scarcity of this coin today. This piece was graded by NGC as XF details with environmental damage. A fair grade considering that it was literally dug up after who knows how long. It managed to sell for $156,000. $1,000. While listing Morgan dollar rarities, the 1885 Carson City, the various 93 coins, especially the 93S, jump to mind almost immediately, but none of these are quite so sought after, particularly in higher grades, as the 1889 Carson City coin. Though the low mintage of only 350 coins bears a clue to the coin's scarcity, the fact that most were heavily circulated is the true reason why this denomination is so rare in mint state grades today. So then, to find an example of this coin, which was only struck in the last 3 months of 1889, with a deep mirror proof-like designation attached to it, is extraordinary. In the auction listing, the cataloger commented that there is little to separate this coin from a Philadelphia proof. All things considered is quite the compliment. Graded as PCGS MS64 Deep Mirror Proof-like, with a CAC green label seal of approval, the coin breezed straight up to a $204,000 closing price. Many odd denominations within the US mint's history had at least a good run before being made obsolete. The 2-cent coin, for instance, saw almost a decade of production, while the 3-cent coin in turn was struck for almost 20 years. The 20-cent, however, was not so fortunate, as it was abandoned in circulation after only 2 years, while the Philadelphia mint struck proofs for only 4 years total. The Carson City coins are especially scarce today, as nearly the entire mintage of 133,000 in 1875 and only 10,000 coins in 1876 were never really released into circulation, due to the denomination being so unpopular. And to make things worse, the balance, some say nearly as many as 99% of the original mintage, were again melted down in 1877 by order of the mint director. Today, fewer than 20 of these coins are estimated to have survived. Of these, this one is graded as MS64 by PCGS, and $456,000 secured this rare coin to a new collection. And then the star of the show, at least in my opinion, is actually a fairly modern coin, and it has to be the 1975 Roosevelt dime. To be more specific, a 1975 proof no S dime. I won't go into too many details here, as I've already covered those in a separate video that you can watch by clicking on the little eye on the top right hand side of your screen now. But suffice to say that this is an ultra rarity with only 2 coins known to exist today. This is not your ordinary pocket change dime either, but rather a proof coin that was inadvertently struck without the S mint mark that should be on all 1975 proof coins, making it an extremely rare mint error of sorts. In a previous auction appearance in 2011, this same exact coin was sold for a staggering $349,600, but in an apparent all-out effort to outdo itself, in its second only auction appearance here, the coin managed to raise no less than $456,000. Subscribe to WNN and activate notifications with the bell icon to know when new videos are released. For the World Numismatic News, I am Numisman saying thank you for watching. Keep collecting and have a great day.